I first had the opportunity to meet our next speaker when he was serving as chair of the Senate Education Committee. And I also worked with him closely when he was on the Senate Insurance Committee when they were redoing the wind pool bill. And as a result of that, it's really helped our coast in the recovery process. Since being elected as Insurance Commissioner in 2007, Mike Chaney has worked very hard to continue to do those types of things, to help us get our coast back to working. At this time, please welcome Insurance Commissioner Mike Chaney.
Thank you, Bob. I always appreciate that. Lester Spell just brought up something that I think is extremely important. It was not in my notes to talk about, but it's something that needs to be mentioned. Agency heads in this state need the flexibility to run their agencies without what I would call minute management by members of the legislature. We need to be able to run our agencies without the state personnel board dictating to us the dollars that we have. Let me give you an example. Our agency, the Department of Insurance, brings in over $200 million a year to the state of Mississippi in taxes. We operate that agency on less than $10 million last year. We came in at 12.2% under budget as a special funds agency, not subject to cuts by the governor. Now, folks, that's pretty strong when you have flexibility as a state agency and you have broad spending authority to move your dollars where they need to be moved and address the priorities that need to be addressed in this state to do your mission for your agency. I want to tell you that some of the issues that we have in the state of Mississippi include the issues of what goes on the Gulf Coast. You need to understand that as the Gulf Coast goes economically, the state of Mississippi will go with it. The issue always remains available and affordable insurance. We made some great progress since Katrina. I would tell you that almost 10% of the insurance that's written on the Gulf Coast today is written by companies that were not writing insurance on the Gulf Coast pre-Katrina. That's amazing to us. That means that we have more competition, that prices have stabilized. The wind pool that we operate, semi-public-private wind pool, has been able to have level rates for 4 years. Most of that's due to the fact that we've had infusion of cash from the state of Mississippi and from funds by the governor's office early on. But I don't think that's going to be possible in the future. That means that we've got to be very prudent on how we spend our dollars. And I commend the board of the wind pool for the work that they have done, specifically in trying to find available and affordable reinsurance that backs up that plan. We're up to 46,000 homeowners on the Gulf Coast that are in that plan. Our rates have remained constant over 4 years. They will be the same next year as they are this year. I can't predict what will happen in 2012. When I took this office, I wasn't sure how I would like the job. I want to tell you that I truly love the job that I have today. I enjoy making a difference in the quality of life for 2.8 million Mississippians. But the challenges that we inherited March the 23rd under a plan passed by the U.S. Congress and Senate and signed by President Barack Obama, called the PPACA Act, the Patient Affordable Care Act. This act dictates that the state of Mississippi enact federal law whether we want to enact it or not. It puts before us great challenges that we've never had before, what I would call a dilemma and a catch-22 for us. That dilemma and catch-22 is very simple. The bill contains many ideas that are not partisan in nature, such as the insurance exchange, the premium review portions, but it also contains portions that could be devastating. It could be a blueprint for disaster for this nation, and it has no cost containment in it. The trick for me is this. If I'd had a vote on PPACA, I would not have voted for it. But it is the law, and my job is to enforce the law until it's either changed or it remains the same. I will continue to enforce the law to the best of our ability. Sometimes we have the options not to do what the federal government wants us to do under the PPACA Act. But some of the things that we're going to be enforced to do include, by 2014, to have a viable exchange for small businesses, and small businesses are the ones that could suffer the most under this act. We will have to have some form and shape to address who's eligible for Medicaid. That's something our agency has never done before. Normally, we leave that up to the executive branch of government and the Division of Medicaid. I will have to do 1099s on anyone in the state that may have over $600 of income. That's not something that the Department of Insurance should be charged to do, but we'll have to do it. And when we look at the whole host of requirements that we will be charged to do as insurance commissioners, it's earth-shaking to us. Last month, 35 commissioners met at the White House in Washington, D.C. at the invitation of the President. We met with Secretary Sebelius and Secretary Solis of Labor. The President came in and spent 45 minutes with us. The whole meeting lasted an hour and a half. I attended that meeting because it was an opportunity for us to have input as to what we saw were the problems with PPACA, the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act. The President was very open to listening to our concerns, probably more so than the secretaries and what Congress would have been. Hopefully there will be some changes, specifically on issues such as the 3.8% tax that goes into effect January 1 on unearned income. We have tremendous challenges on what will happen if we don't change the funding mechanism for PPACA. Let me give you an example. Between now and 2015 and 16, we will divert $2.5 trillion out of Medicare over to give subsidies to those people that need insurance and they're below the 400% poverty level, which is $88,200. Let me tell you how much that money that is. If you took the 29,000 plus state employees in the state of Mississippi, not including IHL, and you took out all the people that make more than $88,200, you want to make a guess how many that would be? It would be less than 400 people. That means almost 29,000 employees of the state of Mississippi would be eligible for a subsidy under this federal program. You ask, where does the money come from? It comes out of Medicare. Medicare addresses the issues of those that are 66 years of age and older. What does that mean for those folks? It means you're not going to have providers, hospitals, or doctors that will provide health care, and it means there's less and less availability of health care for our seniors in the state. One of the dangers, now immediately when the act was passed, there were some benefits for Medicare, but long range, there are some tremendous challenges to keep Medicare funded. We have our work cut out for us. The issue for me is to be able to get the legislature to pass legislation that's bipartisan in nature, that enables us to do the job that we're called to do under the federal law and not make it a partisan issue. Some things that we will have to do, the Republican Party may not like, the Democrat Party may not like, but they have to be done, and we must have the authority to do that job. It's going to be a catch-22 to try to figure out the maze and the networks of where we want to go. When you look at the real issue for us under PPACA, it's this. When PPACA was passed, I had 3 people in my health care division. Under state law, we do not manage health care rates in the state of Mississippi except for individuals in very broad groups. We have no authority to check the rates. The federal government hopes to give us that authority and make us responsible for the rating process for all of the health care industry in this state, specifically among those that supply health care for small businesses. The trick for us is to figure out how we do that. Last week, I spent a week at Orlando with 50 other commissioners trying to figure out what we needed to do. One of the programs that responsibilities that we have to address include what we call medical loss ratios. Medical loss ratios are those portions of a premium dollar from health insurance that does not go for medical help, but it goes for administrative cost. There's no provision to pay commissions to agents that sell insurance in that bill. There's no way that some of the companies can meet the mandates under the MLRs, and the NAIC is charged with developing the details of the MLR. The bottom line is this. It would require as many as 60 to 70 people in our department if we do not figure out how to compensate agents in the state of Mississippi. We don't have the money to do that. We cannot take state dollars and have them supplanted by federal dollars. In other words, the grants that we may get may not be supplanted by federal dollars being taken and used for state work. That's against the law for us to do that. So it presents unusual challenges for us in the department. I want to let you know that we accept those challenges, we will meet them head on, and we will do everything within our ability to address the issues that are before us on the health care and how it affects the Mississippi economics for our state. Thank you for letting me speak.